Gabe Genovese alongside women's golf head coach Kelly Ovington. And Kelly, first, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry it took us a little longer to get over here. Normally, I would say this is like a fall recap or a spring preview, but we're right in the middle of the spring season, so we'll just call it a chat, just a catch up.
I love it. Fireside chat.
Yeah, we'll start with that fall season and how you thought you guys competed in the fall for those few months, and just how this group kind of came together in the fall.
Yeah, I think we had a great fall, really. We had some successes. We had some learning opportunities, I like to call them. We had another win at Toledo, which was great. We've won that 2 years in a row, and that was important for the girls to come in there and win, and we're going back next year, hopefully for a three-peat. We'll see. But yeah, we finished off our fall season with a big trip to the Bahamas this year, which was nice. Guys got to do it last year, so we tried to get in this year, and they just had a great time. All the families came, and we didn't play fantastic, but it was super challenging weather. The winds were like 30, 40 mile an hour. So it was a good learning opportunity to know we need to work on playing in the wind a little bit. Yeah. So, but overall, it was a great fall season, and went into the winter with some really good goals to work on.
You mentioned the Bahamas. I'm just kind of curious, like, how scheduling works for you guys, how you try to schedule. Are you trying to go to certain locations? Are you trying to go play, certain schools, go play in certain events? How does it work from a head coach's perspective?
Well, first you look at budget, what you can do, ideally, and you try to get in the best field possible usually. I think some of the reoccurring events that we have in our schedule are just ones that the team loves, and the courses really fit our style of play. So you want to see good scores, but you also want to challenge yourself and put yourself up against some of the best schools. So to show them kind of where we are, and who knows, we have some really good individual players right now that are starting to move up in the rankings that need that opportunity to compete against some of the best players. So hopefully we try to get a good balance from fall to spring. Fall, we usually try to stay regional. That Bahamas trip was rare. We only get to do that once every 4 years. So that was a rare opportunity, and mostly we'll just stay within the region, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, that type of thing in the fall. In the spring is when we get to travel a little bit more.
You mentioned courses that, quote, like fit your guys' style of play. What is that style of play? How would you describe it for the group of girls this year?
It's kind of split a little bit. I've got a couple of long ball hitters that just really love to hit it long and go after it, and are really exceptional at short irons and getting into the pin and wedges. And then I have some that are just straight as narrow, and they just like to play a nice tight course. So they complement each other when we get to certain courses. And most courses will divvy up the holes so it can favor all of the players, But I think a well-manicured course, a fun course for them to compete on, so they have some risk-reward challenges, especially for my long ball hitters, that they might be hitting some of the par fives into, and get an opportunity at some, eagles and birdies and that type of thing.
You guys end the fall season in October. Spring season doesn't start until middle to end of February, depending on the year. What does the time from October to February in the winter months look like for you guys?
Well, I mean, we travel all the time. We don't play a home event. So it's really important to get some rest and recovery time for these young women, and to catch up on some of their classes, because we do miss a lot of class. So we take a little bit of time for rest and recovery, but a lot of that time, like in November, is for our strength and conditioning to really step up. And they'll take a lead on that and start pushing them a little bit more in the weight room. And that's where we start making changes to swings if we need to make any adjustments, or work with their swing instructors. And we use that time to kind of build on what we're going to do for the spring.
You mentioned the spring just started a couple weeks ago for you guys. You guys are a couple events into the spring. How would you evaluate how those first two events went in Arizona and North Carolina?
Two different events and two different courses. So we went out to Arizona, and we love that course. That's probably one of the best tournaments we play in every year, and we've been playing in that same tournament for probably 20 years, 25 years even. And the cool thing about that is we get to stay with amazing host families. And I've stayed with my host family for probably 7 years now. So, and some of the girls have all stayed with the same host families throughout the years, which is really neat. But the course itself is really nice. It's a great way to start out the season. It runs, and we did pretty well. I think we were able to adapt to some of the conditions we had on the course. The greens were a little bit faster than what we'd been doing. And then going into North Carolina, totally different course, totally different weather. I mean, it was 40 degrees and cloudy and cold.
Not Arizona.
Not Arizona. So it was tough conditions for a 36-hole day. And the course conditions were just wet. Greens were slow. It was a little bit more challenging for them. And for my big hitters, it was even more challenging because it was a placement course. So we adapted to it. They were able to change and play a little bit better in that second round, which was fantastic. And that's what you want to see, is see them make the changes they need to make and feel comfortable with it. And I think we ended up okay. We started out a little rough, but overall we walked away with some really good things to work on over this break.
You have 2 golfers in each class right now. A couple of seniors, a couple of juniors,
Yep.
2 sophomores, 2 freshmen. Do you like the balance?
I do, yeah. It's kind of because we're always competing in practice. And we kind of put them up against each other, and they kind of go up, head to head against each other all the time. So it is neat to see that competitive nature within the team. But I think it really equals things out as far as recruiting-wise and that type of thing. I mean, we're allowed to have 9, so we might add another one. But right now, I kind of like that setup and practice and everything. With 8, because you usually travel with 5 and 3 stay home. So
I'll wrap with this. You guys approaching the final few events of your spring season. Obviously, Max here in a little while as well. What are some goals for this team that you have down the stretch here this spring?
Well, we have a little bit of time in between. We go to Georgia State in like 3 weeks, I think. So we have a little time. They're doing a little rest and recovery next week. And then we'll get back on the wagon the next 2 weeks about how we're going to approach Georgia State's course, which we've never played before. So we'll be doing a lot of research on our end, the coach's end. And then we head up to Ohio State, which we've played that course a few times. And that'll be a very competitive field, which will be nice to see us, move up a little bit than where we finished last year. So some of the goals, I would say, we just want to be competitive in each field. Ideally, we want to be in the top half of each of those fields to be competitive. And we try not to get too locked in on numbers, because that can get you, a little nervous as far as a player and get it in your head. So just try to stay competitive in each field and just improve on each one. We always say last day, best day. They're the last round, the best round. And so we try to make our last round our best round, and it keeps moving like that. So hopefully those 2 tournaments will prepare us to get up to Firestone and compete and finish in the top half of the conference there.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Absolutely.
You can follow Ohio Women's Golf spring season, the rest of the spring season, on OhioBobcats.com.